Senator Lankford, you're now recognized for your opening comments.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Hearts and prayers today go out to the folks in Florida. They've had a very, very difficult past 24 hours, to say the least, and they'll have a long recovery process on that. And so I wanted to remind folks, as we're going through important business today, that our hearts are all still in Florida as well. I do want to thank the chairman for actually holding this hearing today. I'm filling in as ranking member today on this to be able to work on two incredibly important nominees of areas that my subcommittee is very, very involved in. That is the issue of regulatory affairs and federal workforce policy. Rob Shriver the third, because I just met the second as well, is nominated to be the Deputy Director of OPM. He's a professional with 25 years experience working on the issues related to federal employees. We've had the opportunity to be able to talk at length already before this hearing on several of the federal workforce hiring issues and some of the challenges. There are significant challenges on the federal workforce. Over the past decade, OPM has had to navigate many changes in leadership, structural overhauls, a major cybersecurity event, while attempting to achieve its mission to lead executive branch federal workforce policy and administer the benefits programs for the federal family, as well as handling retirement issues. OPM continues to have many challenges it needs to address. For instance, it takes 100 days on average for the federal agencies to be able to hire a new employee, 100 days. Everyone for now a very long time has said that's got to come down, and there have been benefits in the ones and twos of days, but not in the significant time period it really takes to be able to handle that. Another is on the other end of not just the hiring, it's actually on the retirement process. OPM manages a paper-based retirement system out of a cave in Pennsylvania. This has got to be resolved for our federal retirees as well. If we're going to have a modern, effective federal workforce, OPM has to be a modern, effective agency as well in leading that. Look forward to that conversation today. Dr. Ricky Revesz has a long academic career with an extensive list of publications, including many books, academic articles, op-eds. The administrator of OIRA, as I mentioned to him in our extensive conversation as well prior to this meeting, is the most important job in Washington that no one's ever heard of. That task at OIRA sets the parameters for how we're going to do regulations in every single agency. I've long been concerned, quite frankly, that this administration has been so slow to be able to nominate someone to OIRA, and my concern has been they've not been serious about the regulatory issues. I hope I'm wrong about that. But because the regulatory policy affects everyone. Fair, predictable regulatory policy allows businesses, particularly small businesses, to be open, to plan for the future, to thrive. It absolutely affects everything in our economy and our safety of how we handle our way of life. Drastic swings in policy from administration to administration creates uncertainty. We need safe food. We need safe working conditions. Regulatory policy has to be known, predictable, and it has to follow the rules that have been passed down by Congress. OIRA is the gatekeeper that ensures the executive branch follows the law, completes cost-benefit analysis, doesn't cut corners for convenience. The job of the OIRA administrator is to often tell your boss and agency heads, no, that's not the way the law is actually written. We have to be able to follow the law. It's very similar to the role of the general counsel in each of our agencies to be able to have that moment of advice to say, this is the right way to do it. If you want to be able to do it, let's follow the law, and it protects the taxpayers from years of litigation in the days ahead. Professor, there'll be many in the administration that are going to press, because every administration does. Republican and Democrat, they press on OIRA to be able to go faster, to do different. You'll have the unique role of being able to look at folks and to say, let's follow the law. And that's a good spot to be able to be. In closing, I look around this dais and I see relatively few people that are engaged. That does two things to me. One of them, it tells most folks that they've looked at your resume, they've looked at your background, and see that it's consistent, and so there's not a big press. It also reminds me of the last time an OIRA nominee was in front of this committee. They actually sat by themselves, and that was Paul Ray, and they went through hours of blistering questions and went through page after page of questions for the record afterwards, harassing him. So this is a different type of conversation that's actually happening today, and it's good to be able to see my Republican nominee colleagues treating everyone fairly, because we have had individuals that have not been treated fairly in the past administration in this exact same role in this. So glad to be able to see a good, fair dialogue to be able to go through very difficult issues today. With that, I'll yield back.